Okay, so on today's episode, we'll be discussing about how design has evolved over time. And today we have with us Ankita Mirani, who has completed her master's from Royal College of Arts, London, which is considered to be the best college in the world, one of the best college in the world to be precise. And she is currently working as a healthcare designer. And let's start with the topic. Okay, hi Ankita.
Hi.
So today we are going to be discussing about how design has evolved over time. We have seen that from just holding an aesthetic value, it has also evolved to be an integral part of the process of brand building these days.
Right.
So every brand is like, matlab, they are getting into design in core. So what are your views on that?
I think I completely agree to what you're saying. We have come a long way. If we just go back, I think 10 years ago, not even 10, I think 5 years ago, all people knew was graphic design, interior design, fashion design. You talk about the term design, and it was related to the uh, aesthetic value of it. Ki how does it look? If it is graphic design, how do I put it into a poster? It was very limited, but with over time we've realized that now it is a lot more about that. But now it is, like you said, a part of the process of building a brand. So now it is not just something that comes in after you've strategized everything. Design has become an aspect that comes in the beginning, where it is a perspective. So you look at things from a design perspective. So, yeah, I would agree that from just holding an aesthetic value, now we've come to a place where it has become an integral part of the process. And I feel every industry that you look at is in design, and everything that you look at today has encountered design in some or the other way. Now, let's take, for example, the mic that we're talking to. It has been designed in a way for us to record this podcast. Then let's look at any object around us. It has encountered design, it has gone into the process of thinking who it is being built for, how do we optimize it, and that is what design is today.
Yeah. So, like you said that the design has been an integral part, and you agree with that. And I've seen that. To be honest, I have seen that the industries have sort of a thing that they have, or they are already forming a different branch in the altogether for the process of design,
Right.
and they are forming the whole team from where. In past, the industries used to hire freelancers, and they used to do just there was just one person to design everything,
Right.
right? And today the industries are getting into design into too much that they are already trying to build up a team.
Right. They're
And
getting in-house
yeah.
teams.
So can you say more about that?
Definitely. I think, as you spoke, initially, first, when they were hardly, like when the startup culture had just began, they realized a little bit of importance of the design. But at that point of time, corporates were not at par with that. So now, if you look at it, let me give you an example of one of the firms that I worked with, IBM. So they had 7 years down the line, they had just started investing in a design studio. They were building their in-house design team, and they realized how important it was to get designers, especially user experience designers. So this also connects back to what we were saying, where now design has become an integral part. So now it has also become more human. I'd like to talk about how design has become a little bit more human, and hence the whole user experience part. So I think the companies have realized that this approach involves the users more, and it gets their perspective out, and it helps in building a better product or a service. So everybody that you see around is right now getting to how can they design something for that is for their audience.
As you mentioned that design has been becoming more human, I have seen that the design is also becoming more holistic towards the whole scenario. So what are your views on that also?
Definitely. I think, like we were talking, so let's take, for example, graphic design. Today, graphic design is a part part of a bigger thing that is called visual communication, which was not classified earlier. Now let's look at product design. So product design is now a part of industrial design, which was not categorized as such earlier. And not just that, I think the branches of design, the way they have evolved, it just is trying to include anything and everything. Now you don't just design products, you don't just design physical aspects, but we're also looking at something like service design and strategy design, which was never thought design could be integrated in. So yeah, I think that way design is becoming more holistic. We are looking at it from a bigger picture and not just at the end product of what we're designing.
Okay, so we have already talked about how holistic the design has become, and I think the process of designing and the process of designers have also changed. The specialties of designers are changing these days.
Right.
So from on one hand, that on the past times that we used to see designers in like form that unke paas they had one skill. Right, they actually had all these skills in them. They were self-taught, and they were like doing everything one in all. So now the specialties are also changing of the designer. So what are your views on that?
So I think you're absolutely right. Now that the design has become more holistic, the role of a designer has also changed. So let me give you an example here. Now that we've spoken about graphic design and how it has become communication design. So essentially for graphic design, initially all we needed to know was a few softwares. That was Photoshop, which was one of the most famous ones, and how to put anything into a good layout and how to make it look pretty and how to make it look good. But now in today's time, that's not the only thing that we need. Now it has become a part of a larger thing called communication design, where making it pretty is just one part of the entire thing. It is more about what message we're trying to communicate, how we're trying to communicate, what is the content of it, and what it is, like I said, what is the message that we're trying to give. So it has evolved in that sense as well, and it has become a little bit more holistic. So now the kind of skills we need as designers is not just the tools, it's also the way we communicate, or how we're able to relate to the people that we're around. On that note, you have learned animation yourself, so I think you would have a lot more to add on this.
Yes, when I was studying animation, the scene was totally different. Those days we used to actually I went to do animation just to learn to expand my skills. Right. So those days the design was the studying design was just to enhance your skills. We all worked on our skills and software what softwares we are reading learning, and it was all about skills. And today, now that I have my own studio to run, I have been working with clients. I've been working with so many clients, and I have seen that just the skills and just the software skills are not enough. Right. And today we are more inclined towards telling stories. The storytelling is the big part of our design process. Not just storytelling, the overall communication design, you can say. For example, let's say we are designing something for a brand. We are designing a hoarding for a brand, right? If you see few years back, they used to design just design those hoardings. Now if you search the creative hoardings, just type creative hoardings on Google, you'll see the whole scenario has changed. They are not just designs, they are conveying something. They are conveying a story. They're moving hoardings, there are cutout of hoardings, there are like vast amount of creativity has been put to just one hoarding to tell a story, right? It's not just about learning softwares now, and more about telling the story per se.
I completely agree, and it's a brilliant example. I think the way we're using hoardings is just one of the many examples, and it has become more interactive, and it is more about how everybody around is interacting with what is being put out there, the design that is being put out there, the story that is being put out there. So yeah, that's completely Amazing to see.
Yeah, so thing that I was telling that the scene of designing has changed, and we were actually about to discuss about the the skill sets of designers are also changing. They are
Right.
more inclined towards one specific type of design.
Right. It has
Right.
become more specialized, definitely. I think even though we're moving into a holistic picture, we're also making sure that we dive deep. So now there are branches that we've never heard of. There is service design, which is all about business design. I think it's an unconventional
Yeah.
mix if you think about it. Who would have thought business and design would ever go hand in hand? But yeah, it is all about how a business is running efficiently, what about the back end systems, and not just that, it is also about how they're connecting to their customers. Like you said, it's about what is the story that that brand is trying to say. And there are so many specialized fields where design encounters, and they all need different types of specialists. For example, there's something called UX UI design, which initially, again, that has evolved, but initially it was just about the interface, which was just about how the app or the website looks, or how my product looks, and how it's being interacted with. But UX has now taken a really, I think it's now enhancing a lot, where we are also looking at how the customer is interacting with their brand. User experience has become a lot more than just the product. It has become about how let's say, for example, Dove. I think this is a brilliant example. And this is something where it's just about advertisements. So how you interact with the product is one thing, how whether or not you're using the product is a different thing. But if you look at what they're promoting in their ads, it's all about accepting yourself, being okay with yourself, and they are disrupting the whole idea of beauty that we have, that people connect with.
Okay, so as you're saying, I think like story is one thing, and the social impact is one thing. Yeah, so the thing is that today, now that we have reached to a point that everything matters and everything is on your face, right? From social media to television to everything on our faces right now. And today, if we speak, the voice reaches to people, right? So these days, not just a story, I forgot to mention about the social impact also. The story and the social impact, they both matter a lot.
Right. I think social impact now is not just a byproduct of most companies. It's become a core focus of a lot of companies, which is again a good thing. But again, it's a personal brand choice which brands are taking. But story is a part of every brand.
Yeah, but as the story and social impact is a part, I see one Indian brand that Fair and Lovely is changing its name to Glow and Lovely. Right, so that's quite funny, but the thing is that they have the political correctness is also a thing here these days. The Scotch Brite is also changing their logo to something that the logo contained of a female with a bindi. Right, so they are also removing that part and changing that to another, but because this is a time to let go of those shenanigans to move forward. Like they were like too much.
I agree. I think it is time to break stereotypes, and it is time to be aware of what message we are giving out, especially when you're such huge brands. So I think we have had these narratives around us for a really long time. Now, because the entire generation is becoming woke, as they say it, so are our brands. So I think it's a good progress that we're making.
Yeah, so the entire generation is actually getting woke, quote unquote. I see, because you see, everything is on the faces of people, right? From social media to television, as I said earlier. I think brands could have changed their narratives before people started raising their voices against those norms. What do you think about that? I think there comes the more human part, as you said.
Right, definitely. I think this is connecting back to now brands have started listening to people. Initially, it was more about this is my product, you buy it. But now it is more about okay, this is what you want, this is what we will make. And I think now, like you said, it is becoming more human, not in just that literal sense, but we're also becoming a lot more experience driven. And it is a generational difference that we've seen. If you look at our older generation, they really believed in assets, investing in assets. They want big houses, they want their own cars. But millennials, or Gen Z for that matter, is more experienced, comparatively, relatively more experience driven. We would like to invest more in travel as a generation. We would like to invest more in things that we can live, stories that we can tell. So it's more of a generational difference now that design is taking over. And one of other really major aspects is that we've started designing things looking at the emotions as well. So how we can evoke certain emotions in the people that are buying it, people that are connecting to our brands. So how to connection has become another big part of it.
Yes, as you said about the emotions, I remember that ad Google made about India and Pakistan. Those India and Pakistan, the topic has been has always been an emotional part of Indian culture from the partitions, and the way the Google pinched that one nerve of the every human person in India. They just India and Pakistan both. Right, the advertisement could have was aired both on both countries, and the emotion part was too much that I remember having tears on my eyes in the end of that advertisement. Right, so yeah, the emotion part, I still remember that ad.
That's completely correct. I think you're talking about the one where they had installments in India and in Pakistan, and people could connect through that. So that interaction, and that's a very good example of how interaction design has facilitated emotions, has facilitated in bringing together two countries. And let me give you one of the other examples from one of my experiences. This was when I was studying in college, and we had one of the patients who just lost her baby. And we were in the hospital scenario. This is all about healthcare and design. And she said that she felt a void, and she wanted to make sure that no other woman who was in her position would feel that, or let's just say she wanted to do something about it. So what she ended up doing was she did a little bit of research on what a baby weighs right when the newborn, and she manufactured a teddy bear that was exactly that weight and quite similar in a size, and she made it a thing that everybody who came to that hospital and lost a baby would get that teddy bear, just so that you could hug it and feel a little better. So of course design cannot replace things, but it can ease things, is what I can say, I guess.
Yeah, you're very right about that. We are not here to change quote unquote everything, like as you said. We are here just to make a difference. We are not here to change everything. We just want that dent in the whole area, scene of the whole happenings these days.
Definitely.
Okay, Ankita, as you mentioned that you like the healthcare in design, right? So how is that a thing? It's a very unconventional mix of design and healthcare. How do you look at it, and what is the future of design as you see?
Right. So I think you're very right. It is an unconventional mix, and I get that all the time. That how does healthcare and design go together? So I think what the role of a designer here is, we are not just looking at the medical aspect. Healthcare is more about delivering these services, medical assistance, but design comes in how we can assist these healthcare professionals, or how we can look at it from a bigger perspective. Let me give you an example. So we will not be looking at how I can facilitate in a condition or in an illness, but I would be looking at how we can make your experience in a hospital a little bit less stressful. We already know that your experience in a hospital is not positive. You've never seen somebody come out of a hospital and be like, this was the best day of my life. So so how do you kind of reduce everything that is happening there. It's just so overwhelming. So how do we make it less overwhelming? This is just one aspect. Then we could intervene with the instruments that are being played with, the technology, the kind of products that are being used. We could help in how a person is managing their lifestyle conditions or illnesses. So for example, if you have something, let's look at any disease, a heart disease, and you have something that you're monitoring. So there are apps, if you look at apps that help you monitor these. So that is healthcare in design. Although, it's not a lot about medical information, but it is a design that is helping you in the healthcare sector. Similarly, I think in every sector, design has seeped in. So yeah, that's the unconventional mix.
Yeah, but as we see, as we speak about healthcare in design, I think we are already into that aspect, and people are actually using all those apps, right? The Healthify Me, the Google Fit, and like everything, from watches to your phones to your computers to your tablets and everything. Like you already have those healthcare apps on inbuilt on your app. So I remember earlier when we were talking about this healthcare in design on a conversation we had, you were telling me about that you are working on tools inside the hospital. The doctors are using those tools to so what are you doing, like what is your process and what are you doing about that?
So let me give you a few examples. So if you look at prosthetics, how that has changed, that is one of the tools that is being used. Initially, you had only crutches, you had these heavy iron metal things that would be really difficult to walk around in. But now if you look at the alternatives we have, there are very easily detachable things that we have that you can just put on, and it's made, or it's designed keeping in mind the pain aspect for the patients. So that's one of the indirect tools that we have. There are direct tools that the doctors are using, for example, robotic surgery, right? So in right now that you see, there is a surgeon standing there with a bunch of instruments performing a surgery on you. But the future that we see here is that there are going to be robots where they're going to be programmed. Of course, we can't expect them to do the entire surgery. There are going to be certain parts that are going to be facilitated by the surgeons, and it is going to happen in their presence, but we're looking at how they can intervene and make the job of a surgeon easier. So the idea is not to replace the surgeon or the healthcare professionals, but how can technology make their task easier is what we look at.
Yeah, as you mentioned technology specifically, I think technology and design is a good mix altogether these days.
Definitely. I think they cannot, like design cannot function without technology in today's time. We need that integration. We have it everywhere we see. And without that, I think a lot of product would not be as successful.
Yeah. Okay, so we have already covered all the topics about how the design is being evolved from time to time. I think let's now discuss on the part where what the future of design is. Right. I think according to me, I see design is more getting more minimalist. Right. So from when we used to see the posters of the movies, right? They were so so full of information, right? And now we see a poster and people are designing posters like they're less of an information and more of a story, like you can see the minimal posters around, and I think it's not evolution of design. I think we are just moving towards the past. It's just the scene that I'm putting into, like have you ever seen the cave paintings?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the cave paintings, they were considered of design. They I think for me they are the most minimalist designs I've ever seen. I think they are the fathers of minimal designs. Like two triangles could create such complex characters. Like they use two triangles to create a human body or the animal or anything, and bunch of few lines added to it. And when we progressed to society, they started using symbols, and the Egyptian mythology and the Indian mythology, you can see the carvings in the stones and the pyramids. Like they are all getting more. They are more symbol based. Right, and today, I don't know what happened in the middle section of the design processes. Now we are getting into that again. Now we are more shape driven and more symbol driven and more minimalist as designers. How do you see that future of design?
I think for minimalist, definitely. I think we as a generation want less cluttered things. We had this phase where everything was just loud and in your face, and now we just want things that are important, and we don't want, like you said, we don't want unnecessary information. We just, for example, if we talk about a movie poster, I just want to know what movie it is, where it's being screened.
Yeah, I think I think it is more about as we were talking earlier that everything is on our faces. There is too much information to process these days.
Right.
Like from social media to television, as I said earlier, that there is too much information, too much. When I scroll through my Instagram, I just look at what is important. Right, and Instagram has this new algorithm that is only showing you the stuff that you want.
Right.
Right, that is something minimalist approach towards user experience also, I think.
I kind of agree. I think especially right now, because like you said, we are being bombarded with information constantly all around us, and we're in a generation, like not just generation, but we're in a phase where we have a lot of information, but we don't know what to read. Like, we have more things than we can process. So at a time like this, it is more important to be minimalistic and to just give out information that is necessary to attract the kind of audience you want, and then go deeper into what it is that you're selling.
Okay, so now that we have discussed a lot about how the evolution of design has to be, what do you think the future of design is going to be?
Well, honestly, I think future of design is now. So we have inculcated something and we've believed something in our design years, that is that if you have any idea right now, or if you have an idea for a problem right now, firstly, somebody somewhere is already implementing it in some way, and secondly, by the time your idea reaches the market, the problem is going to be 5 years old. And why do I say that is because that's the amount of time that you need to convert your idea into a product or a service and to reach the mass, right? So first you'll have prototypes around it, you will be building it, then you'll test it, then you'll reach a certain number of people, and then there is something which it'll be adapted. So that adaptation period will also be quite long. So that's what I mean when I say that the future of design is now. And we practice something called imagining alternative future scenarios, where we look at what are the trends that are happening around us. So for example, if I had to design something now, I would look into how people are becoming more health conscious. That is one of the trends. How social media is one of the trends, which is not going to go away for a while. Yes, it is going to evolve, so we speculate on how it is going to evolve. Then we know that technology is something that is going on, artificial intelligence is something that is picking up pace. So how do we put together these trends, keep in mind these trends, and speculate a scenario around the problem that we are going to design, see what it's going to be like in a few years, and design something that stays relevant even then, so that by the time your idea is out in the market, it doesn't go obsolete, is what I mean. So yeah, I think future of design is now.
Okay, so that was a good note to end on the future of design. And thank you for coming, Ankita.
Thank you for having me.
So stay tuned and follow me on Instagram by the name Genius Jackass, and just follow us on Spotify, iTunes podcast, and Google Podcast. We are on YouTube as Studio by Instinct. Bye bye.